So in the last tutorial we took a look at creating a repeat button that would spawn many cubes on our stage, and you can see they're kind of flying at the glass and they're going all over the place. In this tutorial we're gonna it's going to be a little bit of a longer one because we're going to be talking about receiving user input, but I also wanted to cover part of the I also wanted to cover go into further detail about one of the three parts that makes up a good programming language. And remember that sequencing, which means you can run code, you can read code from top to bottom, or it'll jump around. You can follow a logical sequence. And then there's repeating, which is like the for loop or the while loop, which we went over. And then there's branching. And I want to go over another type of branching, which I like to use sometimes better than if-else statements. So I'm just going to go ahead and comment out this chunk of code and just up here. And let's just start something new. So this is going to be our example 6. And I'm just going to go ahead and make an integer and call it num. And I'm going to make it an int, and I'm going to make it equal to 0. Or let's make it equal to 1. Semicolon. So that's nothing new for us. We have a, let's make this a variable called num, and it's an equal to 1. Now what a switch statement does is it switches between different cases based on the input. So for example, you start off your switch statement by simply writing the word switch, which is like this, and you want to switch based on a numerical value. So a lot of people will try to switch on a string, and it's really buggy, especially when it comes to JavaScript. So always try to switch on a number value, and some languages only switch on a number value. So let's go ahead and type in num. And then just like the if-else, you just create a open and closing curly brace. So switch num, and then all we have to do is case the number 1, and this number 1 is the value we're checking. So right now we know for a fact that num is equal to 1, so case 1 is going to run. So you just write colon, and then you put a break statement, and that will end your case. And then inside, between these two values, you simply write whatever you want to happen. So for example, we can say case 1 print hello. And then we can just simply copy this as many times as we want and switch this to, say the number is 2, we say print hi, or what have you. In case 3, you can print, hola. And then you always have to have a default in the end. So if none of these values run, your default value, and it doesn't require a break statement because it automatically knows if the default value runs that it's going to break after, we can print goodbye or just bye. Alright, so let's go ahead and hit Control S and save this and press play. You can see at the bottom it printed hello because it's it read that it's switching based on these values. So let's say we switch this integer to number 2, and I hit Control S and I press play. You can see that it should switch down here. Integer 2, let's save that one more time. Might have to clear this out. Okay, so this is something that we have to be, if we don't have it within an update function, sometimes we have to switch the numerical value because it's a global variable inside the Unity interface. So for example, we can see here that it's always printing hello. And if I go up to my GUI and I switch the value to 2 here and then I press play, you can see it switches here. So sometimes if we have a global variable, it locks within the interface. So let's continue on. Let's jump back to talking about how to create GUI labels, and within that GUI label how to receive user input. So